Hi class and welcome to lesson 2 of topic 10.06. Here's your retrieval task. Can you work through that? Leave space for your LO and your title. Pause the video and spend 10 minutes on this. You're practicing the same skills from the last lesson. Okay, so here's your answers. So again, we're looking at practicing our division using the bus stop method, what we know about the definition of a multiple, what we know about prime numbers, conversion, and there's even a bit of area as well thrown in there with a bit of probability. So make sure you're marking them with your green pens and ticking any ones you got correct. So there's your LO at the top of the page, and we have our success criteria, which is down at the bottom. So what we're looking at is we're looking at how to factorise quadratics of this form, where the coefficient of our x squared term is not equal to 1. So let's have a look. So our step 1, find two numbers that multiply to give AC and add to give AB. So let's have a look at the work solutions that we have. So our A is the 5, because if you have a look, we've got ax squared, so A is the 5, B is the negative 42, B, and our C is the 16. So A multiplied by C is 5 times by 16, so we've got 80. And our B value is negative 42. So we need to find two numbers that will add together to give us negative 42 and multiply together to give us 5 times 16, that will give us 80. So I know that those numbers are negative 40 and negative 2, because negative 40 times by negative 2 is 80, the negatives cancel, and if we add them both together, negative 42 add negative 2, we'll end up at negative 42. So what we do is we break up this negative 42x using these two numbers. So we end up with 5x squared still, then we end up with negative 40x and negative 2x. So we've used these two numbers. And if we collected these, we would still just end up with negative 42x. So our equation, our expression here, our expression has not changed. And then we have the 16 on the end. So now we can factorize. So here, with these two terms, first two terms, we'll factorize these, and then we'll factorize the second two. So we know that we can take out 5x. So if we take out 5x from this, we're left with just the x. And then if we take out 5x from this, we're going to end up with negative 8. You can time them out to clarify, to double check. So 5x times by x gives us 5x squared. 5x times by negative 8x is going to give us negative 40x, so that works. In our next set of terms, we know that we can take out 2. So let's take out negative 2. So then we're left with just the x for the first term. For the second term, we are left with negative 8. So let's check again. So minus 2 times by x gives us negative 2x. Negative 2 times by negative 8 gives us positive 16. So now, let's have a look. So factor the first two and the last two terms separately. Step 4. If we've done this correctly, our two new terms should have a clearly visible common factor. So we've got, what are our factors now between this first term and our second term? Well, we can take out x minus 8. We can take that out as a factor, because that's just going to be a number when we find out what x is. So take out x minus 8, and that leaves us with just 5x here and negative 2. So as you can see, we factored it, factorized it. What you could do as well is, if you've got time, you could always multiply these out to double check that we'll get back to our original solution, because all we're doing is showcasing that in a different format. So if you can pause the video now and give the we do a go for 2 minutes. And here's the answer for the we do. Make sure you copy that down. Now let's have a look at this one. So again, we know what our A, B and C are. So A times by C is 48, 3 times by 16. B is equal to minus 26. So what two numbers will times together to give us 48 and add together to give us minus 26? Now it's minus 24 and minus 2. So let's break up our B, our middle bit, by turning it into minus 24x and minus 2x. Let's factorise the first two terms. So let's take out 3x. Take out 3x, we end up with x inside. And then we end up with minus 8. 3x squared minus 24x. Lovely. So now let's take out minus 2 again, because we know that that's divisible by 2 and that's divisible by 2. Let's take out minus 2 here. So we're going to end up with x minus 2x, yeah. And minus 2 times by minus 8 is just positive 16. Correct. So now we know that both of our terms have x minus 8 as a factor. So if we take out x minus 8, we get 3x minus 2. So I'll copy that down and then pause the video, spend 2 minutes working through the we do. And there is your answer for the we do. Make sure you're copying that down with your green pen whenever you're doing corrections, as we always do. Oh, okay, so now we don't have a b term. There is nothing times by x. So our b, in this instance, will be 0. Let's have a look. So a is equal to 9. C is equal to negative 16. So our AC, A times by C, is 100 minus negative 144. B is equal to 0. And what two numbers can we find that will times together to give us AC, and that will multiply, will times together to give us AC, and that add together to give us 0? Now luckily 144 is a square number, so we can use 12 and negative 12. So now we need to break up our imaginary b, our imaginary bx. So we've got 9x squared minus 12x plus 12x minus 16. So we've got 9x squared that we can compare. We have minus 16, which still matches, and then minus 12x plus 12x. Well, I've made a note here that that is equal to 0. So really we've added nothing. Now we can factor our first two terms. So we can take out 3x. So then we're left with 3x here. And if we take 3x out of this, we're left with minus 4. Same for the second two terms. Take out 4 because they're both divisible by 4. So we're left with 3x here if we take out 4. And then here we're left with minus 4. So again, because we've done this correctly, we can see that both of our brackets here are the same. So we can take out 3x minus 4. And then we notice that if we've taken out 3x minus 4, we've just got 3x in our other bracket plus 4. So we've got 3x plus 4, 3x minus 4. You can pause the video now and give the we do a go. And there you go. There's the answer for your we do. So if you can be correcting that, marking it if you've got it correct, well done if you've got it correct. Here's another one. So again, we know what our A is, we know what our C is. Our A times by C is 576. So what we need to do is we need to find a B value, which is 0. So what two numbers will times together to give us negative, I should say negative. What two numbers will times together to give us negative 576 and add together to give us B? Well, luckily 576 is 24 squared. So we substitute in, so 36x squared minus 24x plus 24x. Then we factorise. So we take out 12x from these two, and we get 3x minus 2. And now here, I made the mistake of pulling out not the greatest factor, and that is why my two brackets didn't end up the same. So then I discovered that I have to take out 8 here. I took out 4 originally. So I take out 8 here, and I end up with 3x. I take out 8 here, and I get minus 2. So now my two brackets are the same. So when I factorise, it's going to be 3x minus 2. And we're going to have 3x minus 2, which we have here, and then we have 12x plus 8. Yep. So now I notice that I can take a further 4 out of this. So I could turn this, take 4 out of this, and I end up with 3x here plus 2. So there we go. Pause the video now and spend 2 minutes trying to work through the we do. And there is your answer for the we do. Make sure you copy that down. Okay, so now we'll have a look at one more before we move on to the independent task. So again, our A value is 8, our B is negative 24, and our C is positive 18. So A times by C gives us 128, and B is minus 24. So what two numbers can we find that will times together to give us that, and that will add together to give us that? Now, minus 16 times by minus 8 will give us positive 128. And if we add these two together, we'll get minus 24. So that works. So now let's break up the minus 24x into minus 16x. Let me get my highlighter here. My laser pointer. I like the laser pointer. So let's break down our minus 24x into minus 16x and minus 8x. So this here, this expression here, is exactly the same as this one here. All we've done is broken this down into two separate parts. So now here we know that we can take out 8x from both of these. So if we take out 8x, we're going to end up with just x here. And if we take out 8x from here, we're going to end up with minus 2. So we can times them out, 8x squared. 8x times by minus 2, minus 16x. Over here, what can we take out? What can we factor? So we can take out 8. So it leaves us with, so take out negative 8. It leaves us with x here. Take out negative x from here, we end up with negative 2. So now our two factors that we can see, our two brackets are exactly the same, x minus 2 and x minus 2. So if we take out a factor of x minus 2, as we've done here, then we're left with 8x and we're left with minus 8. So again, this can be simplified further because we know we can take 8 out of this bracket here. So if we take out a factor of 8, we're left with x and minus 1. You can copy that down. Make sure you're very careful when you're copying all these down, moving from step to step. Take your time with it. Don't try and do more than one thing at a time because that's how mistakes happen. Once you've done that, if you can move on to the we do, spend 2 minutes and pause the video, try and solve the we do. And there is your answer. So now if you can pause the video and spend 7 minutes practicing the skills that we've just used. Use your books and use the examples that we've just done to model how you're going to answer these questions. And here are the answers for the first 10. Mark them with your green pen. Make sure you remember your second bracket here. And there's the last 5. So now if you can spend a further 5 minutes, pause the video, again, use the examples we've done to model how you're going to do it. And here are your answers. Again, if we can pause the video so you have time to mark these. And the final 3. Well done, guys. That's the second lesson complete in this topic. What did you find easy? What did you find hard? Well done.